Plato said you can discover more about a person in an hour of play than in a year of conversation. I talk about on my channel often how I'd rather just have fun once in a while rather than talk about serious topics. But it's like, how do I do that on my channel? How do I do that when talking about slavery and the problems in the world and really just helping people open their minds? Because I see people want to not have fun. And I think that's the very issue often, right? So I can try to invoke fun, say, hey, here's a game I'm playing. This is some things I'm doing that are fun. But are people interested in that? Is that what's going to change the world? Because there are plenty of people who are doing fun things online. So why do I talk about serious matters? I talk about serious matters because they're matters that nobody else is talking about. But that being said, I'm still going to have fun because I don't want to lose that soul of who I am. You know, there's that common phrase that if you have all work and no play, you become a very dull boy. Well, absolutely. I noticed this in myself. In fact, when I'm writing all the time and I'm doing all this video production and I'm doing all sorts of different things, I'm not so much having fun. Now, some people can make it fun. Whatever you do in life, you can make it fun. And oftentimes it's more so about letting go and not thinking about it. Because the child who's growing up in the world doesn't really have to think about having fun. If they try to have fun, they're not going to have fun. Having fun means letting go. And I often talk about this concept of letting go to work with nature, as in the philosophy of the Chinese, Taoism, where it talks about Wu Wei and being able to flow with life like a stream of water and getting past all the, burdens and all the hurdles in your way. And that is a skill, it's an art, it's a mastery. And when you do a sport, you do the sport for fun. And when you do it for fun, you may end up doing your best because you're not thinking so hard about doing it. So see, there's this interesting dynamic about having fun and having play and how it contributes to a healthy mindset and one that can think logically. So when somebody says you have to think logically and be super serious, they at the same time cannot just bash out fun. It's super important. So on my channel, expect my content to change here and there, and sometimes I'll throw in a whammy and be like, hey, sorry, this is totally not a serious topic. This is going to be a total jokester video. Because really, I don't have constraints as to what my channel is about. I express from my heart, and because I let go into my heart and into the truth, what will come and express is of the authentic mind, not of what I expect other people want from me. I'm going to produce as necessary and as I see fit, as I feel. But I'm also not going to forget those things that need to be addressed. See, I'm going to use, as I say often, this balance between the right brain and the left brain, the creative mind and the intelligent mind, the one that thinks through everything and the one that can take that and then bring it to the emotive side and say, hey, how does that, the super logical, rigid position, fit into this world of people who have feelings and emotions? Because you see somebody who has an ideology, who has an agenda, and they go to someone who doesn't, or somebody who isn't really used to that. And that person's going to be like, whoa, what is this? I don't want to get involved. Because they haven't really, they either set up boundaries for themselves or that person who is approaching them isn't really coming from a holistic mind. They aren't coming from an encompassing, very practitioner-like mind. Like, I'm going to work from where you are. They're saying, well, you have to think like me, or, too bad. I mean, you either think like me or you don't. In the same way governments say you have to do as I say or you're going to be locked up. I mean, people don't see there's another option or there's another alternative. There's a solution as to, okay, let's not have the death penalty. Let's actually help the person in their life. Let's not just throw them in a cage. Let's actually work through their problems. And again, it's just ignorance that tells us, well, we don't want to really do that. And it's more fun to accept the challenges in life, to accept that life is not going to be a certain ideology in a certain way, and to rather be more flexible and open. Because then you have less battles and less arguments that you have to partake in. Because you didn't set yourself in a box. You opened yourself up. And so you're now able to, the word entertain, any idea. And literally, you can entertain it. You can laugh about things. You can laugh about yourself. You can laugh about things you talk about. Because there's nothing really holding you back, from talking about any particular thing. Nothing is really stopping you from who you are. You know what you're doing. You know what you're putting out into the world. So you're able to laugh about things, to entertain anything. You're able not to get stuck and try to be the victim and try to be virtuous. No, you don't have to try those things. You're just living your life. And that is fun because, again, you can't try to have fun. So this is a little bit of circular logic there, but you get the point. It's fun that I think this life people tend to overlook. I mean, you look at the workplace and the 9-to-5 schedules and what goes on in day-to-day life, and you realize not everything's really focused around fun. It's focused around money, which the money we say is for fun, but when do we ever have time for fun? And then we have to pay to have fun? Then is it really fun? Or are we just trying to make it fun because we paid for it? In the same way, we paid for a drink. Oh, that drink tastes good because I paid for it. There's a lot of psychological things, and I often come to the best thoughts and the best observations and the best way of saying things when I'm off camera, when I'm just having fun, when my mind is truly open. But when I'm speaking to the camera, sometimes I do really good. I know when I do good, and other times I don't do as good, like when I know I was a little scrambled in my words in this video. But am I going to let that down? Am I going to push myself down because of it? No, because I want to get this message out to the world. To me, fun is what everything is about. I have a carpet in my room, and I'm biased when I say I love carpet, but I live in Florida. So a lot of people say, hey, you shouldn't have a carpet in Florida. Well, how many problems really come from carpet? Am I really willing to put the fear onto me to no longer have fun? Because I like also doorknobs as opposed to door handles. To me, that's more fun. It's the simple little things in life that make a difference. Sometimes it's the way a cup is shaped. Sometimes it's the way a chair is, a mouse feels, whatever it is. The kid in their life, if you look at any kid, they want to have fun with everything. Let's put this in my mouth. Let's do this. Let's do that. I want to try it all. Let's explore there, explore there. The adult, it's got to be this, it's got to be that, it's got to be this, and can't have fun with that, can't have imagination with that, can't make a poem on that. The kid is like, ooh, what is this? Wow. And that's why they're always receiving a lot of different information. They're like sponges willing to learn. That could be dangerous when you have the adults come in with their ideology imposing upon the child. Now you have adulteration, like literally turning them into an adult. And then they're like, man, you don't want to grow up. You don't want to turn into an adult. They literally put the fears inside the child. They literally say, you don't want to become who I am. They're projecting. Meanwhile, the adult can have fun with the kid. You look at Dana Martin's radical unschooling, where she took her kids out of the schooling system and she taught them and realized, wait, this is a better way to do things. Wow, my kid likes Minecraft. Why don't I play Minecraft with them? Oh, wow, I'm actually learning as a parent, and they're learning too, and they're bonding with me. I didn't have to tell them that they shouldn't play that game. But she wouldn't have realized that if she didn't open her mind into the possibility of having fun in the process of learning. But see, when somebody's having fun and learning, they learn a lot more. Look at people who are playing video games, right? I played World of Warcraft. There was an auction system. There was trading systems. There were social systems. And that was back in the day, not so much anymore. But those systems taught me so many real world skills that people would look at me and like, well, you learn it from a video game. You didn't actually learn that skill. Try me. Test me. Because video games can absolutely teach you. Why do you think they have simulators for certain things? Like, doing an airplane online. There's a reason why technology exists. It's a tool, just as a book exists. Oh, you're reading it. Doesn't make it real because you didn't experience it. Awareness is very important for experience. Experience is important, sure, but so is awareness. And having fun. I like to read books. I like to drink tea. It's not like you're just drinking tea because it's healthy. You're eating something because it's healthy. You want to do it because it's fun and not because you convince yourself that it's good. See, this is the whole dynamic of fun that I'm getting to. And so when Plato says you can learn more when someone has fun than a year of conversation, I could totally understand this because I can see how much they open up when somebody has fun. I can see their personality and the way they interact with others. Are they willing to let go of the world and of society for a moment to really enjoy that moment? Is this what life is about? Then they will encapsulate themselves in that moment. because that's what life is for, right? If they agree that happiness and fun is the goal, and we need to get rid of the problems that are keeping us away from that goal, then when they have the chance to have fun, will just totally embrace it. And so that hour can be the most meaningful hour. And that's why, again, having a little bit of play can make a big difference in somebody's life when they have so much work to do. Otherwise, they become a very dull person because they have no time for play. I tell my parents, I tell my friends, I'm like, hey, only 5 minutes is all I need, a little bit of time, to play, hang out, like that's it. And that makes a big difference. We can keep talking about business and serious matters, but we got to have fun. You'll see in some of my interviews, I'm laughing around, I'm joking around. I don't always take things super seriously. And sometimes my videos, and the comments that people give me, they give me a negative comment. Somebody said, you can't have your hair on one side because you look like a girl. I love that. It was great. I want to see more comments like that. Like, because I don't really care. It's like if I get offended, now I make it a big deal. Like, who cares? It's just a simple little comment. Like, it literally doesn't do anything anyways, right? But people are dramaticists in today's world. And it's funny because we have drama and theater usually for the purpose of fun, but it's turned into where we make our lives the theater, the drama, and it's no longer fun, because we're not taking it in that spirit. We're taking this fun as a forced fun, as a fake fun. And that's what you see, when people put on the makeup and they make everything pretentious and fake. You look at the Super Bowl, you look at all these sports events, award shows. It's like they have these jokes that are just like confined and clearly scripted. And then these people are like trying to do something when it's all scripted. It's like, that's not fun. And it really puts a bad reputation on what fun actually is. A kid running through the hills and potentially going to get hurt. Like, that's what's fun. Ask somebody from the 80s and the 70s what they did back then. They're like, I don't want to tell you because it was so dangerous and that's why it was fun. And it's like, I wouldn't be able to do that nowadays. That's what they say. A lot of the people I talk to from the 80s and 70s, I talk to a lot of old people. And, they feel bad for my generation. They're like, man, you can't really have fun. Even though you have social media, even though you have video games, it's like, you can't have as fun as much as we did. And at the same time, the next sentence, they're like, well, this darn generation, they're always on their phones. They're always doing this. It's like, yeah, because our generation is trying to have fun. They don't know where to go. You see these ironies everywhere where people say one thing, the next sentence they say something else. I've come across this many times where people say, man, people should not follow this identity thing. Like, if you're a doctor or this, that doesn't make you who you are. But in the next sentence, they say, well, we got to be realistic, meaning we need to understand that government has always been here and, that business works in a certain way. And if it's not realistic because somebody has this expectation of this certain thing, it's not realistic. It can't never be the case. So it's got to be realistic. But to them, what's realistic is fake reality, which then isn't reality. It's an illusion of reality. So I find that funny because people are willing to succumb to what they think they know, and they're unwilling to open up. And those same people, over time, playing games, eating with them, just having light conversation, nothing about the world like politics or religion or whatever, they start to open up. They become more human than ever. But the minute you start talking about those touchy subjects, they close, they constrict because they feel like they need to have a grip on reality. Like there needs to be a certain framework for that conversation. And they're not necessarily open to what new information is out there. And so they really can't entertain a thought. They really can't have fun with their thoughts. And that's what I do when I think. It's like I'm having fun with my thoughts. I'm thinking about what I know, and I'm challenging myself. I make this fun, I'm not making this like a hardship, like, man, I gotta challenge myself. I make it fun so I can continually do it, so that way I can continually improve upon myself. But needless to say, man, if it wasn't for all the fun that I've had in life, I would not be where I am. And I want other people to have that fun, and I want to encourage you to do that. How much of your life is really focused around that? Do the products that you use not just work good, but help you have fun, or do they inhibit that and prevent you? Like when people get all their modern furniture and make everything look super sterile. Is that really fun? As opposed to, let's say, some super cozy, complex looking, like unconventional looking house? Because I guarantee you that one will be more fun, and there'll be plenty more spaces for hide and seek. And oh my gosh, I can't tell if it's dirty or not, because in a modern home, it's like everything is white, and it's like if you get one speck of dirt, everybody sees it, and it's got to be perfectly clean all the time. We have all these expectations. It keeps us from having fun. I just wanted to give you guys some examples, okay? Because to me, this is what it's all about. I'm going to give you some experience I had recently. I went to Tarpon Springs, which is a town I go to pretty frequently, and there was a kid being proselytized. Okay, proselytized meaning somebody was trying to religiously convert them. And this was a younger kid, being proselytized by some kids that were around my age. And I was like, on the corner of my eye, I saw these older kids like beating down on this younger kid with some questions. And nobody was around them like questioning it, even though there were tons of people. I'm like, what's going on here? So I was just standing on the side, listening in a little bit. And then I interjected. I'm like, what's going on here? And then I asked the kid, I'm like, are you with anybody? Do you know this guy? Like, what's going on? So I was like, okay, fine. I'll listen in. And, just want to ask questions. Just want to be very curious. Want to make sure he's safe. Just want to make sure everything's good, because it's kind of weird when I see, somebody asking a bunch of questions like this. And then I talked to his friend on the side, and the one that was proselytizing. And I was like, are you part of some sort of organization, like religious organization? They said no. Okay, so they're doing this out of their heart, out of their passion. They're just sharing with them, the gospel, as they would say. I was like, okay. Despite how dangerous that can be in many regards, I said, you have to be kind of careful. Like, you're just going up to some random kid on the street, and you're going to be converting them in a time where they can be having so much fun. Like there's this event, there's people dancing, there's people handing out food, and meanwhile, you're using this opportunity to convert others. Now, this same place, I was handing out brochures for people about freedom and education, but I wasn't pushing it on them. And I was like, hey, if you want this, yeah, if you want it. And people can do with it what they want. But these kids were like, do you have a moment of your time? I need to ask you this question. And then they'll take up like 30 minutes of your time asking you a bunch of questions and then hammer down with you a bunch of questions about gospel and Jesus and Christianity. And so again, I applauded them for their passion and for their courage to be willing to ask questions like that. And I encourage people to ask questions when it comes to what I share. But the way they did it is very dangerous, because you can't just go up to some kid, especially, and do this. And especially at an event like that. And you got to make sure that they're safe and comfortable. And even then, it's like you're really like, geez, I was warning them constantly, like, you can't do this. Like, you got to be very careful. I told them, like, people who are very desperate tend to go toward religion. So you got to be very careful, because there's different pressure points that religion hits at, which is why it's so appealing to people. And it can take them down so many different paths. It can make people feel like they've got the fear of God in them when somebody preaches to them and says, do you know about this? And what are your feelings about this? So they don't necessarily see that, and that's what I wanted to confront them about. But yeah, that kid could have totally had fun. Instead, he had to deal with a religious sermon being pushed onto him. Guess what? That kid later on that night thanked me and said, thank you so much. And that's probably because I released some of the pressure from him. Like, I was like, hey, I just want to make sure that you're okay. And I just felt weird because it looks like you were being battered on with questions. It just didn't seem right to me. And it didn't feel right to him either, which is why he thanked me. So it's just something quite telling. I wanted to add, there was this paper that these religious folks gave me, and it says, go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all that I have commanded you. I mean, gosh, this is why there have been tons of wars and religions. I command you, you must obey me, and then tell everybody else, and if you want to be faithful, you have to convert everyone else. I mean, this is just crazy. I mean, I talk to a lot of these folks, and they've never even heard of deism or Thomas Paine or Voltaire. And it's insane to me because these are the founding texts often to America in the very first place. But needless to say, I'm glad that I did what I did. I asked the right questions at the right time because all I am is just a very curious and open individual because I just want to have fun. And that's what life is about. You know, humanity used to be with each other all the time. We used to not travel perhaps more than 5 miles out of our way. We didn't have cars, so we tend to be with each other. We didn't have social media and technology to distract ourselves and externalize all our fun. We had to, gather around, make games, play games, and make use of the land, make use of our environment, interact with nature. But all that has been lost because of modern technology and modern society. And so the thing that I'm warning you guys about the most in this video is, of course, the modern fun, the false socialness that proclaims to help us do those things like have fun and be social when in reality it's doing the exact opposite. So if somebody was curious and they said, well, what is artificial intelligence going to do? Is it going to make us more smart? Well, it may absolutely do the opposite. And so that would be my strongest advice against, technology is when you see something as being advertised for something, and even government as well, which, the second government I call technology, when they pass something like the Liberty Act, assume it's probably not necessarily for liberty, because this tends to be the case of history, that all the different things that are done by the systems that be and by the things that we create are there to sort of just mimic and replace nature, replace what already is there. And if you acknowledge that the truth is ever present, and that there are answers all throughout nature, then what are we doing trying to create? What are we doing trying to make reality be the way we want it to be? We have to be very careful. But we don't have to worry about being so careful if we were just fun and lighthearted and actually just empathetic and caring and willing to let go of all our constricted worldviews. That way we can actually learn from everybody. It allows us to be cautious. It allows us to be conscious. Quite an interesting dynamic, isn't it? Thank you very much for watching. This is Corey Angelat. Nature is the answer. Be sure to have fun.